It's a new day and it's sunny out, and that makes me very happy. So it's a perfect day to do something new, which is to build a web backend for a server browser. This isn't something I've done before, so it should be a pretty good adventure. Just before I get into that though, I'm going to go ahead and mock up a UI for the server browser in-game for the client. That way I have a really good solid understanding of all the functionality that I need on the back end. So with that quick, succinct intro, I'm gonna hop on Twitch and get to work on that. P.S. The reason why this intro was actually pretty quick and easy is that I already tried filming it for about half an hour and my mic wasn't turned on. So here we are. Okay, so a couple hours later, I've got this match listing browser working. So I'm able to actually select and choose different listings. So this will just be a list of like basically usernames, anybody who's looking for a match. And you'll be able to click on that and then hit join. Previously I didn't have any way to do this, so this was step one on the UI. And I think next I'm going to define what the data for these listings actually looks like. Right now I'm using, or previously it was game lift sessions, and they have their own, you know, IDs and codes and whatever in there. So I need to figure out what information I need for each listing and how I'm going to store that, and then kind of replace the game lift API with my own API for these listings. But before that, I think we're gonna take a little walk outside, take a little break, move around a bit, and take advantage of this nice weather that's coming through the window. So yeah, I'll see you in a few minutes, and again, on the other time of the time-lapse. On the other side of the time-lapse. What did I say? Other time of the time-lapse? Jesus. Now, after I went for my walk and came back, I felt pretty comfortable or pretty ready to actually take a look at how this messaging between the client and the server is going to work. The big question that I've been having is how am I going to authenticate users with the backend? I know how to do this with the game server. I'm using encryption, but I'm not sure how to like make sure that requests coming in to reserve slots or to join games are actually from the users that are sending it, and that they're valid users and not just somebody writing a script. So for now, I think to do that, I'm going to use some APIs that Oculus provides. I don't really want to be beholden to Oculus in the long run, but for now I'm targeting Quest launch, and it'll be the simplest, quickest thing to do, to use their APIs instead of building up my own authentication server and having my own user accounts and all that kind of jazz. The second big question that I have is on the code side, how is this really going to work? And I took a look through my old net code here for the actual connecting to game servers, and while I don't think I want to just use this API because it doesn't quite fit, there are some aspects of it that I might want to use. Maybe I'll use it, I'm not sure. It might be that I just pull some of the code out of there or separate it into a separate or smaller API. But yeah, I definitely need to do some digging to figure out how actually making this connection through C# to the server is going to work from the client to the server. Okay, it's a day later. Yesterday I didn't get to work on it nearly as much as I wanted to. I ended up stopping pretty much after I recorded my last clip, and I had to take care of some other stuff. But I've been able to put in some good hours today, and I'm feeling really, really good about it. So here's what I decided to do. My existing netcode wasn't going to cut it because I don't need encryption right now. It's a bit too complicated. Overall, there's too much code there, and the main thing being that I don't want to establish a connection to the server, or I don't want the server to have any state about the client. The way the gameplay servers work is that you make a connection and you authenticate with the server, and it says, okay, this is the client, I'm connected to this, and here's all my connected clients, and I'm gonna maintain that connection over time. But with this, I just want a simple client sends a request and server sends a response back. It doesn't need to hold any or too much state about the client. I looked at using a REST API, but I definitely didn't want to implement or like bring in a whole nother API that somebody else has made that's way more complicated than I need. And even just following the REST kind of guidelines, it's like it doesn't really, like, yes, I want it to be stateless, which REST does, But aside from that, I don't know why I would use that. So I said, fuck it, I'll just make my own protocol. And it turns out that with my experience creating the last one, which I based off of some other implementation, I kind of know how to. I didn't know that I knew how to, but it feels really good that I've been able to just kind of bang out how this server is going to work. So I thought about digging into it and explaining how this all works, but I feel like that's just a bit too lengthy for this video and for this purpose. So I might make a separate video going into it. Maybe that'll be valuable to people. I think it'd be good for me to put up a video that's called, you know, like how to implement a matchmaking server or something, or at least a match browser, or match browsing server. I don't know what I would call it, but yeah, maybe I'll try to make a separate video on that at some point and kind of detail how this works for anybody who's trying to learn. Because there really is some interesting considerations, or at least insights that I've had while making it, things that you need to watch out for, and performance considerations and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna skip over the details for now and get back to work on it. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it up maybe today. I know I always say that, and it never really happens, but I have just a few more things to do on the server side of the API to finish that up, and then I need to implement the client side, which should be really, really quick, and then after that I just need to implement the API in an actual separate program outside of Unity, so making a C# application, use the API that I'm creating to implement the server there, and then try running it, and we'll see what we get. Spoiler alert, it didn't take a small amount of time, and 16 days later, it's still not quite running. So tune in next episode to find out why.